Everybody, welcome to another session with Crispy Barnett and me. I need a name. Matt Bolian. I need a better name. Matt Bolian. I'm excited to be here. We're going to talk about how to help agencies, consultants, service companies scale. Crispy, what is up with you today?
Doing well. Need to think of a nickname for you for this podcast.
They used to call me in my gaming days. They call me Big Bad Red, but we can think of something different. Crispy, what does every service company need to know today?
Every service company today needs to know that process definition and implementation is part of every service that you provide. Period. And there's multiple things that we'll talk about as a subset of that, but I do not think that this is done well enough today for a myriad of reasons, and we'll talk about a big one here shortly. But in short, process definition, as in you map out the processes on behalf of the customer, and documentation and visualization has to be done if you want to be a successful service provider.
Why?
Multiple reasons. One, when you are doing something like CRM implementation, like HubSpot, as part of that, you are likely helping the customer to define processes that are either not currently in place, or you're asking questions that will potentially change existing processes. So if you want to be an impactful service provider, you need to think about enablement, and that happens through process. You need to think about how you can reflect process in technology. That's number one. Number two, it is unreasonable to expect anyone to adhere to a process if it is not documented or visualized. Documented and visualized is what I will say, actually, not or. It needs to be documented and visualized for everyone.
Is that why you didn't submit your expense report?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't. Yeah, didn't know. I should have sent a Slack message to like Deanna or something. That's exactly what happens. Like little things like that. It's so dumb. And I'll give a clear example of like something that's unreasonable is having a deal stage name and assuming that it means something, especially in like a sales team of 5+. Like,
are you telling me logistics doesn't mean anything?
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I'm in logistics right now. Yeah. Doesn't count. You can't expect, I can't be held to a standard if I don't know what that means because it's not visualized for me every single day. So that's number two. I feel very passionately about this topic. I went on a huge rant on LinkedIn yesterday on this one, so this is such a good one. Number three, documentation in other systems fucking sucks. Oh my God, it's terrible. Here's what happens. It's the bare minimum level of effort. It gets looked at once to get approved by the customer to check a box and then never touched again. That's not enablement. It's not empowerment. It's not adoption. Number four, and this is like a great segue into how you could be one of the most impactful service providers in your ecosystem if you do this. There's a difference between enablement and empowerment. Enablement is providing documentation and visualizing it, which helps the user do their job better, right? Which is good. That's like the good base level. Empowerment is documentation and visualization that gives the user the confidence and autonomy to make decisions and take actions by themselves. Clear difference. They are driven to do better because they want to, and they have the autonomy and confidence to do so. Very clear difference. Super impactful in sales teams as well.
Crispy, why would I help a client not need me?
We talked about this in one of our previous episodes, right? You are providing an experience, and the use case of I do not need to lean on this person as much is not like an experience at all. Like one of your KPI is not to deliver something at the end of the day and like that's it. Your KPI is, do the end users of the service that I'm providing to my customer, use the thing that I've designed and feel empowered to go and do so. Those types of consultants are like forever consultants, forever partnerships. Like that means there's a whole new set of problems that arise that are more strategic, and you can tackle the next big set of problems, which is why, again, linking to a previous episode, we talked about thinking about the macro struggle and mission, not so much like the problems and like micro solutions. That's where, if you do that, great. Now it's on to the next thing, right? There's the opportunity to capitalize and jump into the next, scope of work at a more strategic level. So,
I will, the bigger topic on documentation. And I think the statement is just put it back is the big statement, which is if you're a service company and you don't provide, and documentation is not part of your competitive advantage, you'll just lose.
Yes.
And there is a reason why that's true. And we talk about the experience, but it's more than this. Okay, so I think this is part of why people, I would even argue, part of why people use service companies is that they will actually document what exists and make it better.
Yeah.
There's something where is documentation creates organizational memory. And there's what I've seen happen, and I'm having done two different companies, or two different companies that I've started from the beginning and now on. And it is so easy for companies, as you add people, to forget why you won and why you win. And those processes and what you're doing must be documented if there's any expectation at any point for another human to copy what you're doing. Now, and number two is documentation in text form is insufficient in every single way.
Yep.
It is better as after you've seen it. So pictures can be consumed in 13 milliseconds. Words take minutes. And so you need both, because you need details, you need both, but you must visualize and you must document. And when you do that well, and Super's take on this, just to sit on it, is we've rethought how you put documentation and where it is. So the next question is, always the issue you hear from service companies is, well, they can't find it, they never use it, I've made it, it's not useful, why am I even trying to do it? And I would push back and just say, it's because you haven't created the experience that tells them where to freaking go at any given moment. And a service company's job, an admin's job is, what should I do? When should I do it? How should I do it? And if I don't know what to do, who do I ask? At any given point. And the more you do that, the more irreplaceable you're going to be.
Totally agree. Yeah, and I think, for everyone that's getting excited about I'll just push everything to ChatGPT. Words on a page are not impactful in the sense of how you do this. This is why it's about the documentation and the visualization of it. It's both together.
Yes. This is enablement, and it's enablement is weaponizing.
Yes.
In many ways, weaponizing documentation. Now it's what about AI agents? And what happens when your process changes, man? And that's the biggest issue is how do you teach somebody to then change that thing? How do you remember what was there and why you built that and how it all worked? And this documentation is never going away. Visualization's only going to get more important. And the this is my take on the world. This is why Super's here. Is you must be your competitive advantage in the future, and it will not be the creation of documentation and visualization. That'll be really freaking easy. Your competitive advantage will be the distribution of that documentation in the right places at the right moments, i.e. enablement. So as a service company, get really good at putting your stuff and doing enablement, and you'll be, so you must visualize. And I'm going to go on a tangent off story. I had a customer before your time. I won't name names, but I'll give you their value prop, how they're building their business, and a way I think will just fundamentally fail. And just put it in juxtaposition against documentation and process and standardization, so you can do custom things. It is. I was telling the Super, and at the beginning we had we still have robust portal replication, and they loved that, and they saw it. And but they did custom projects. Like, hey, we really don't have a lot of use cases for standardizing, which was not true necessarily, but like it's just like, hey, we don't have this rinse and repeat. Where we win is through customization. I'm like, perfect. I 100% agree. Let's do that. And so I asked them, like, hey, how do you? I try to look for things to standardize against. And it was like, my first question was, well, when a customer has a question, how do you make sure it's answered? And he said, we just answer it. I was like, okay, well, when you deliver something new, do you document it? You know what he told me? My mind was blown. He said, I don't. It's like, so you get a call and you explain something, you train it. Like, where do you capture that? Do you ever? It's like, we don't. That's what they pay us for. And his model was cheap labor in Ukraine. That was his model. And that model of cheap labor, offshoring, nearshoring, with the intent, we don't need to document, we don't need to process, we'll just throw human bodies at it, is one that will no longer be viable in 5 years. So I actually think that is just not going to not be something that's possible.
That falls under the methodology of time equals value.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I'll leave with this as a final statement, and then Crispy, I'll let you finish something. I think if your process isn't documented, your business is dependent on human memory,
tribal knowledge,
someone's mood, and miracles. Yeah, I'm not saying it don't happen. It's dependent on a miracle. Yeah. And documentation is not a back office task. It is a competitive differentiation that you should weaponize, especially in services. Yeah,
I agree. I totally agree. I think this echoes a good final point. I thought about this a lot when I was going on my tangential rant when I got set off by some stupid comment. I think there's a life cycle of activation within any service, really, not just like CRM implementation, stuff like that. And it goes from understanding to enablement to empowerment to adoption. And that is the journey that most end users, specifically, like in a perfect scenario, should go through as a successful implementation of whatever service it is. To get to the end, you need to guide users from knowing what to do to feeling equipped on how to do it, believing they can do it, to then them doing it with confidence consistently and repeatably. And that ultimately is the KPI. If you're thinking about, are you a good service partner and are you providing an experience? That is the experience that you want to provide to your customer.
I love that concept. I've never thought about it that way, and using those words, it's a true statement. And then every time you do something new, you must repeat the process. Thus, you don't do projects, you do products.
And buy Supered.
Okay, this is not supposed to be a Supered commercial. So
I know. Hey, well, that's the beauty of the product is like everything that we've talked about on each of these episodes. We've never had a real plug for Supered, let's be honest. But a lot of the topics we're talking about in the sense of how you build durable businesses, the product helps do that, which is just like ironic, if anything, not even biased. And I say that as I'm decked out in Supered gear right now, but yeah.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not, guys. I'm not. So, okay, Crispy. Well, I have a question for you as we think about things. Why do I have red hair and brown eyes, and you have black hair and blue eyes, and why is the world not fair?
I have green eyes.
Oh.
And brown hair. So.
Oh my god.
I need to get a new camera. Genetics, Pundit Square. I don't know. Ask Henry Pundit. I don't even know what the first name of that guy is, but I remember that in chemistry. You do the Pundit Square, or biology, you do Pundit Square and all that stuff. But.
Love it. So Crispy says his genetics are better than mine. Thank you, Crispy. Appreciate it. Everybody, as we end this, everybody stay awesome. Keep doing it big and never stop believing.
Adios.
Adios, everybody.